This week we look at a budget liquid cooling solution, so stay tuned for a review. Hey there everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nelly's Nerd Cave. Today we're looking and diving deep into the world of cheap liquid coolers with this one, the ID-COOLING FROSTFLOW X 240. This is an all-in-one CPU cooler, and this bad boy comes with two 120mm PWM fans and fits a range of Intel and AMD sockets. First, let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, it has the typical ID cooling type with the orange and black design. The front of this shows a nice picture of the actual cooler that you're going to get, when it's slightly raised and very glossy compared to the background, which is very nice to see. On the back, we have a list of compatible sockets down the right hand side, and it includes the Intel 1700, the 1200, the 1150 whatevers, and the AMD's AM5 and 4 platforms. So let's see what this cooler's all about, and let's open this up and see what's inside. So let's open this. It's a very simple, very easy to use box. He says not being able to open it. There we go. So very nice box, and opening up, first of all, we see that we have the instructions, and these instruction guide is also the warranty as well. It's always handy to have, and we can get a clearer look at the contents. First, we have this little box of tricks here. I say box of tricks, but you all know exactly what I mean. And within there, it has the two CPU brackets. We have the Intel backplate, first of all, and the Intel front bracket here, along with the AMD one as well. These are twist lock, and they twist lock onto the CPU block itself, making changing it from one platform to another very, very simple. Also, we have little bags here. There's one labeled LGA 1700. I think we can guess what these are for. I also have another bag here with what I can only assume is the AMD and Intel 1150 whatever series standoffs. And the final two bags here, they look like the ones for the fans to be fitted to the radiator. And finally, we have some thermal paste. I have no idea what this thermal paste is like, so for the tests I'll be using the Arctic MS4, which I've found is really useful for everything. So here we have the 240mm radiator. It's very well built, it has a solid feel, and here are the two 120mm PWM fans. These fans are designed for optimal airflow and quiet performance, and are rated between 700 and 1800 RPM, so should be relatively quiet. The good thing about these fans is that they are daisy chainable, and with the PWM this is crucial for keeping your system cool without sounding like a jet engine like some of them do. And here is the heart of the CPU cooler, the GPU block. It's a very nice block. It's finished in this plain black, and it has the ID-COOLING logo with a white LED around. The tubing is flexible yet sturdy, ensuring durability and ease of installation. Like I said earlier, this has the twist lock mechanism for the different stud layouts for the different CPUs. So we take a bracket, in this case the Intel one, and we line it up, which you can see I can't do, and then we just twist lock it in. It's really very simple and easy to use. Now, let's get this whole thing installed onto our test bench. I say my test bench, it's just my desk. I will get one eventually. And today what we're using the modest Intel CPU, the 4790K. This is completely overclockable. And with that, once I move this box, I will also be using this motherboard here, which is the Asus B85 Pro Gamer motherboard, and we're going to see how it performs with two different types of settings. One is the standard default motherboard settings, and the other one is overclocking this bad boy as far as it will go using what the Asus term as the AI suite for being able to figure out its best overclock availability. So we're going to see this and see what temperatures are like on both setups. So first up, what we can do is we can get the Intel bracket, and you can see that it's quite wobbly. And what we do is we move these four little pins here up and down to where we want, and then we press the little O-ring down so that it makes contact, and it becomes less of a problem when it's wobbly. What we then do is we grab our motherboard, and we can then put our back plate on as we would normally do. And from there, before I do anything else, I'll put my processor in. Like I say, the 4790K is a really good processor. We can overclock this to about 110 watts. And that's our processor in. Now then we take these little plastic things, there's 4 of these in total, and we pop them on each corner. Now the only problem that I see with this is that unlike some of these, that when you pop them over into the corners, they don't actually have a tight fit. So some of them, like the Thermalright Assassin that I have here, once you put this back plate on for the Thermalright, the plastic bits actually sit very snug on there and they don't move. If I was to now move this motherboard, you will see that the standoffs fall out, which is not particularly very good. We have then got these 4 knurled thumb screws, which are really nice to see within something like this. They look very premium. And then we take our cooler. Obviously we put on some thermal paste, and we put a dab of thermal paste in the middle. And what we've got to also remember is to take off this wonderful sticker here. We take off the sticker because it doesn't cool without it, or with it on, sorry. We take our thermal paste and put a blob in the middle, and then we line this up onto the socket, and then we take our thumb screws and we screw this down. Now it does say in the instructions not to screw it down too tightly to start with, and to follow the crossed pattern of tightening this up. Now I always do anyway, but it is advisable to do that so that you get an even spread of your thermal paste throughout the system, and also because it doesn't put too much strain on the CPU when you tighten it up. So get a screwdriver and let's give it a little tweak on each corner. I always count to 5. And then we keep going. So that's 3, that's 4, that's 2, and 2. There we go. So that's our cooler installed. Now what we need to do is we take our power for our pump and we stick it in the CPU opt, which is the one for the pump. And then we take our fans, which are daisy chained together, and we take our now 1 connector and we put this on our CPU fan. The only problem I see is now you have to kind of cable manage everything. So that's 2 wires instead of just 1. But it's still very nice to see that you've got this cable daisy chain together so that everything fits nicely. We can then install the RAM, just like this. And I will go get a power supply and we can install that. So as you saw, the installation was pretty straightforward. You can just follow the guide or just follow what I've done and you'll have it up and running in no time. The mounting brackets fit absolutely perfect on this Intel 1150 and the fans are easily attached to the radiator from either side. It doesn't matter which side it is. So now we're ready to do the bench tests and I'm going to use Cinebench R23. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to run this using the standards for its BIOS settings, which means I'm not overclocking, there's no XMP set it, it's just what you get out of the box. Okay, so now we've got this up and running, let me go ahead and start CPU monitor, just so that we can see all the temperatures. So we start up hardware monitor and we can see our core temperatures. We can also see our core speeds and any voltages. And we can see that all voltages are set to 0, so they're all the standard information. We can see here that we're running between 30 and 45 degrees. So now I'm going to get Cinebench R23 opened. And I'm just going to run the standard 10-minute multi-core CPU test. Hopefully we should see the results in a matter of moments because I have to sit through 10 minutes, you don't. So as we come to the end of this particular benchmark and this particular run, we can see that with all settings set at nominal, we had a maximum amount of temperature at a maximum of 66 degrees on that core 0 there, which isn't too bad. A maximum of 76 watts in total. And we also had our core at 4.399 gigahertz. However, we are running at 4.199 gigahertz here. We also had a final score of 46.75. So let's now see how this compares to the system, exactly the same, but overclocked. So again, we're back in the system. I've added the AI stuff on there, which is this little thing in the corner here. You can see that it's supposed to be running at 4.496 gigahertz in total. That's what it's ramping the CPU up to. This software is part of the Asus suite that allows me to overclock. So again, we'll start up hardware monitor. And again, we can see there that we have all our temperatures. And at the moment, it's had a maximum of 50 degrees so far. But you can see that all the voltages across the top have changed slightly. So that means that we're adding more voltage to be able to overclock the CPU. Again, I'll run Cinebench R23 with its standard 10-minute run. And just a reminder, we had 46.75 as its previous score. And let's see what happens. So straight away we can see here that we're actually running at 108 watts in total, which is very close. We've actually got a maximum clock speed of 4.6 gigahertz, but we're running now at a constant 4.4 as opposed to what it was before, which was about 3.99 gigahertz. So we're coming now to the end of this, and we've had a 4.6 gigahertz, 108 watts, and we've had a maximum temperature of 90 degrees on that core 0 again. The lowest temperature on core 3 was 66. So we've had a really good run there. and the temperatures did not spike at all. It did not thermal throttle, which is really, really nice to see. You can also see that our final score is 4798, which isn't very much higher than the original, but it's a considerable amount for this particular CPU. So with this particular AIO, we're seeing some impressive numbers. Underload with our normal CPU temperatures, they're staying well within the limits. We had a high of about 66 there, and the noise levels were really, really good. The fans never ramped up whatsoever. However, when we overclocked our CPU, we see the difference in temperatures. We got up to around 90 degrees. The fans were quite loud, but once they're in a case, I suppose they would be all right. However, again, the temperatures were within the same margin. There were no temp limits activated, so the CPU was absolutely fine. And this was a very good run for that particular CPU. With such good performance for this particular all-in-one, it's a really cheap cooler as well. Now, this was £54 at the time of purchase, and I think for someone on a budget, the ID-COOLING FROSTFLOW X 240 is a fantastic cooler if you wish to move from air cooling to liquid cooling at a relatively cheap price. It performs excellently and is compatible with a wide range of CPU sockets. Whether you're using Intel or AMD, this cooler has you covered. So that's it for today's review, and if you're in the market for a reliable and efficient all-in-one cooler, then the FrostFlow X 240 is definitely worth the money. Don't forget, if you like what I did and you enjoyed my videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell below for more reviews and tech tips, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time on Nelly's Nerd Cave. See ya!